That thing is hard to.
I
There you go.
have a microphone challenge. Want to call this meeting to order tonight. It's for the first one of 2017 on January 3rd. Would you please call the roll?
Mayor Kus is not here tonight. Mayor Pro Tem Gaines,
Here?
Mr. Fritzen,
Here.
Mr. Preston,
Here.
Mr. McBride,
Here.
Mrs. Lorenz,
Here.
Mr. McCarthy.
Here.
Could everyone rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight we have the omnibus vote agenda, and it is where we will vote on all of the items under this agenda with one vote unless somebody from the council wants to pull that. So do I have one who wants to pull something? Mr.
I'd like to pull item
McBride,
E.
Mr. R.C.
I'd like to pull item E, please.
Can I give you a pen?
Item E.
E.
E? Okay. Okay. Any,
D.
E? Anyone else?
Move approval.
Second.
Before we call the roll, what we're going to be voting on tonight is the approval of the minutes of the public hearing on December 19th of 2016. Also, the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on December 19th, 2016. We're voting on the approval of the town of normal expenditures for payments as of December 28th, 2016. Resolution waiving the formal bidding process and authorizing the purchase of outdoor furnishings from Landscape Forms Incorporated for the South Boarding Platform Project in the amount of $46,050. Also, the resolution authorizing the execution of a contract with Rowe Construction Company, a division of United Contractors Midwest Incorporated for the Division Street Underpass Roadway and Sidewalk Construction Project in the amount of $190,557.89 and approval of an associated budget adjustment. And last but not least, the resolution authorizing the execution of a lease agreement with the Illinois House of Representatives by its agent, Illinois State Representative of the 105th District, Dan Brady, and with the U.S. House of Representatives by its agent, U.S. Representative Rodney Davis. Please call the roll.
Mr. Fritzen,
Aye.
Mr. Preston,
Aye.
Mr. McBride,
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz,
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy,
Aye.
Ms. Gaines.
Aye. Motion is approved. We'll go to item D. Mr. McCarthy, you have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Thank you. Probably a quick question for you, Mr. Peterson. I know a $5,000 overage isn't much in the general fund or general vehicle fund. I was just wondering if this would impact any other projects as we've just gone through budgets.
No, in fact, typically throughout the year, most of our equipment replacement projects come in a little under budget, as is a general rule. So in this, frankly, because we're changing some of the pieces of equipment we're asking to replace this year, the most notable difference is a tractor that's a relatively new tractor that we'd like to trade in on a larger unit. That's what's creating this fairly modest overage. So, but there's adequate dollars available in that account to cover this expense without impacting any other equipment purchases.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Before we vote, just make sure, can you read the title of the resolution?
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not read this title of this resolution. It's a resolution waiving the formal bidding process and authorizing the purchase of various pieces of golf course maintenance equipment via the National Cooperative Contract Solutions Program of the National Joint Powers Alliance NJPA, which is easier to say, and approval of a budget adjustment in the amount of $5,016. Please call the roll.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Gaines?
Aye. Motion is approved. Item E is the resolution authorizing the purchase and installation of office furnishings from Widmer Interiors for the Children's Discovery Museum through the U.S. Communities Government Purchasing Alliance and the Cooperative Purchasing Network in the amount of $36,225.98 and approving an associated budget adjustment. Mr. McBride?
Move approval. Second. Question for Mr. Peterson, not so much about the project itself, but maybe you could walk me through, what kind of urgency there is to do this now as opposed to given the fact that we're going through the budget process, we're only a few months off from the next fiscal year. Why do it now instead of then, when it could just be in the budget, wouldn't require any budget adjustment? And I pose that question realizing that it's all going to come from the same pot anyway.
Yeah, it's a great question. You're right. Ultimately, it comes out of the same checking account, so to speak. And I wouldn't term this particular proposal or project as urgent. However, I had a situation this past summer over at the Children's Discovery Museum where we had an office space allocation issue. In fact, I know there was one full-time professional staff person that was working at a card table and using a folding chair. Didn't realize we had that big of a problem there with our office configuration. So when Mrs. Berlingmeier was hired as the executive director, one of the things I asked her to do fairly quickly was to do an analysis of the space needs and the office furniture needs in the department, and she worked with our facilities director to do that and came back with a proposal to reconfigure the office environment on the third floor and to would involve the purchase of some furniture. We felt that, frankly, it's something we wanted to do sooner as opposed to later because there was a problem there. And again, it wasn't certainly an emergency, but one that we wanted to resolve. So as opposed to holding this off for another few months until the new budget was approved, we decided to go forward now and ask your approval to go ahead and spend this additional money, which was not budgeted, but certainly it comes out of the same, as you point out, out of the same pot, same account. We're just choosing to go to proceed now as opposed to later to address this office configuration issue at the Children's Discovery Museum.
Any other questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Gaines?
Aye. Motion is passed. Tonight, we have no general orders, and we also have no new business. So we've come to a time of concerns. Anybody have anything they wanted to add tonight before we adjourn? Well,
Move
since,
we adjourn.
there we go. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Gaines?
Aye. We are adjourned.